G'day guys, welcome to another video. In the last one I talked about how to overcome some of the plateaus that you may be facing in gaining muscle size, particularly when you are a natural athlete, you're not using any gear. So one of the things that I talked about is focusing in on some strength training to help break through the plateaus that you're facing in your hypertrophy training, meaning putting on muscle size. So a lot of times when it comes to things like arms, we're not necessarily thinking about lower rep ranges, but it might be something that you need to do just to break through that plateau so you can take that newfound strength into those hypertrophy rep ranges and see that muscle size grow. Again, a word of warning when it comes to single joint movements. Looking at biceps and triceps, for example, it's loaded solely on the elbow. So we do want to be cautious about how much we are doing that heavy loaded work. But it is still something that you should incorporate from time to time to help increase that strength. So again, like I mentioned, taking that into the hypertrophy training. One of the other things that we can do is use some cheat type exercises to help break through that plateau as well. And one of the things that are great is using some overloaded eccentric movements. There are two parts of the movement generally. Again, if I'm talking about the bicep curl, we can look at the concentric where we're contracting the muscle and the eccentric where we're extending the muscle. So we're generally a lot stronger in the eccentric portion of the movement. So what we can do is then overload that portion of the movement so we're still making the muscle work really, really hard, and harder than what we could if we were just focused on the concentric part of the movement. So if you have a gym buddy, then this is obviously going to be a lot easier, but if not, you can still do this yourself using a little body English. So I'll show you up here exactly what I mean. But what we're doing is trying to get more weight than what we would be able to handle for the reps if we were doing the concentric part. We're going to help that up to the top, and then we're going to try and control that eccentric portion of the movement down. So this is still making our muscles work really hard. Our tendons, our ligaments, everything in there is working really, really hard to try and control that weight on the downward portion of the movement. So this is great to incorporate in some of those single joint movements to really help break through that plateau. Throw it in at the end of your workout. Your muscles are fatigued. You just want to push them that little bit further. And this is a really great way to do that. Obviously, if this is all you do, it's going to look a little silly. You're not going to get a full workout, but it is a great way to just add something extra to that workout. Maybe after your heavy compound movement, your first exercise, you can throw this in at the end before you go into some more isolated exercises, and just really get the most out of that muscle. And you should see your strength go through the roof, and you should be able to break through those plateaus in your hypertrophy phase. The other thing that I want to talk about is our compound movement. So if we're talking about the deadlift or the squat or the bench press, for example, we can also hit some plateaus there, and they're not as safe or very unsafe if we're going to do some loaded eccentric portions of that movement. But here's one thing that I think is really helpful that we can take from the powerlifting world to help improve those lifts for the general gym goer as well, and that is focusing in on the weak part of the movement. So for example, if you're doing a bench press, you could be weak in a couple of different areas. Some people are weak right off the chest. They can get the weight down there and then bang, they're stuck. They can't go anywhere. So that's where you can do some pause bench presses with lighter weight, obviously, controlling that weight down, pausing it on the chest for 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3 seconds. I like to go 3 to really make, really take away that elastic potential in the muscle. So I'm starting from a dead stop, and then we're going to fire that up as explosively as we can while still maintaining good technique. This is a great way to work at that strength and power off the chest if that's a weak area for you. We can also do some pauses a little higher up. So you might have some safety bars that you can use. You can bring that weight down to that part of the lift that is your weakest. So that might be 2 or 3 inches off the chest. And then again, starting from a dead stop there. Really, really great way to hone in on some of the weaker areas of your lift so that you can break through those plateaus in the full regular portion of the movement. If it comes to the squat, for example, again, utilizing a pause can be really, really beneficial. We can pause in the bottom of the squat, or we can pause halfway up. We can go all the way down, come up, pause, and then finish that portion of the movement if that's where you tend to fail in your squat. Again, when it comes to these pause movements, it's not about relaxing. So if I'm doing a pause bench on my chest, I'm not relaxing and letting the weight just crush my chest. I'm keeping everything as tight as I possibly can, keeping all of those muscles engaged, and then firing from there. So we're creating a lot more time under tension in that weak area as well, which is really going to help those muscles adapt and become stronger. So hopefully that provides you with some tips that you can take into your workout routine and really see you break through some of those plateaus that you have in putting on more muscle mass. Hope it helps, guys. Beyourbestself.fitness is my website for more tons and tons of tutorial information, nutrition information, and program templates. Otherwise, subscribe here to see more and leave a comment. I would love to interact with you and answer some more questions. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.